This was the scene of many civil rights demonstrations in the 60s. Bogalusa, Louisiana City Hall. Almost all of the major names in the civil rights movement came here to talk to the demonstrators and to address rallies. 7 days a week for more than 3 years, there was a rally in this city every day. In the 60s, Bogalusa, Louisiana was an example of bitter resistance to desegregation. Its 26,000 people lived divided in two separate societies, two-thirds white and bolstered by the Ku Klux Klan, and one-third black and leaderless. On Columbia Street, the main shopping area of Bogalusa, not a single store had a black employee. Cafes and restaurants were white only. Blacks could eat only in their section of town. In January of 1965, a few blacks, aware of some integration progress in other parts of the South, began meeting in this small building, then a black union hall. They organized daily protest marches, and they met almost total resistance. It was here in Bogalusa where the nonviolent movement finally took up arms. Because the demonstrators got no protection from authorities during their marches, they finally formed a group called Deacons for Defense.
There was some fear in blacks about the movement with that type of thing. Even though we were a Christian organization that went, had the preachers and all in at the time during the movement, but then after the marches and thing was over and you was going back home, you see, well, that was another thing with harassment and intimidation. You had to have some type of protection.
Today, Robert Hicks is a supervisor at this huge paper mill, one of less than a dozen black supervisors. Before the movement came to Bogalusa, not a single black was employed at a level above menial labor. Hicks' own children joined student marches from the black high school to City Hall, and they were often met by threatening mobs, police, and police dogs.
You have to understand that to make the setup, the background of the whites in this area was Klan infested, orientated with a lot of prejudice. And the police department at that time, it was all white, predominantly white. And, trying to get opportunities and advantages and do certain things as far as blacks picketing and marching and different things, this was a type of thing that they detested. And they tried to deter it any way they could. And the thing that the police officers, both local police and the parish sheriff department, just refused to protect us. And if a group of white wanted to agitate, the police would turn their backs and let them beat them up or do whatever they would to them. And then when it was over with, and the police would come and arrest the black.
Desegregation of the schools in Bogalusa led to the closing of all but one of the black schools. At least 65 black teachers in the old dual school system lost their jobs as the price of integration.
With the system coming up the way it is now, or doing some of the things they're doing now, I'm afraid that a lot of things that we fought for during the 60s is going to be taken away from blacks.
It wasn't until 1966 that this park in Bogalusa was integrated. That was long after the Voting Rights Bill was passed and the Civil Rights Bill was passed. As one resident here said, those bills just passed Bogalusa by. On special assignment in Bogalusa, I'm Lou Davis.